What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. And today, at this point, it should be called Wisconsin Nation, I think, because this is Wisconsin podcast number 7. We've got assistant coach. We got John Reeder here today. Coach Reeder, welcome to the podcast, man. How are you doing today?
Let's go, big dog. I've been waiting for this, man. I'm excited to be here.
We are super excited here at Heavyweight Nation. We have kind of, just solidified ourselves as a Wisconsin podcast page at this point. No other team has showed as much love as the Badgers, so we gotta show the love back. So
awesome.
First off,
I'm grateful to be here, big dog, and I appreciate all the support, and I know our guys do, and we're just grateful to help support your deal, and again, we can't thank you enough for all the support.
Of course, man. So we'll kind of get it kicked off and get it started, assumingly where your story began. So who was that one influential person that got you into wrestling, and at what age did you start getting on the mat?
You know what? To be honest with you, I wouldn't be where I am today in the sport without my mom and dad. And hands down, they are the most influential people that kind of really poured into me and just leaned into giving their kids every single opportunity that they possibly could give their kids to succeed in whatever lane they wanted to be in. And it was about, exposing me and my siblings to as many sports as we possibly could. But when it came to the wrestling side of things, my dad actually has got a unique story. And to kind of preface this a little bit, my dad went to Indiana State, played Division I football at Indiana State in Terre Haute, Indiana. That's where he met my mom. My mom's a local girl. She's from Terre Haute. That's how they met. But my dad played football at Indiana State, the same time frame, the same era as Larry Bird playing basketball. And he's got stories of, doing landscaping duties in the summer with Larry Bird, and, just really cool, unique stories. And then the same time frame as Bruce Baumgartner, who was wrestling at Indiana State the same time. So to my dad's only kind of real, exposure to the sport, he did a little bit in high school, but when he got to college, obviously he was a football player. He got to college and he was a lineman. He's a big guy. He's, 6'6". He's a big dude. And, the wrestling coach, nobody could wrestle with Bruce at Indiana State. This guy's one of the most credentialed guys in USA history, right? He's just an animal. And my dad was a lineman, and so he's a big guy naturally and physical. And so the wrestling coach comes out to the football team one day. This is my dad's recollection of it, telling me. And he says that the wrestling coach was looking for 3 to 4 partners that would rotate in on Bruce and just let them, just let him wrestle them, And my dad raised his hand and he said he went into the wrestling room and he got mopped from one end of the mat to the other. And he said he loved it, but he never went back again. So I think naturally he had just an incredible amount of respect and, just overall respect for the sport. And obviously his path was different from football, but he just had that immediate respect and really was like, man, this is an incredible sport and takes a lot of discipline and sacrifice and so on. So fast forward, my brother and I, and again, my parents, the foundation of everything we've ever accomplished has come from them. But I remember vividly, my dad had us in T-ball. My mom and dad had us in T-ball, and my brother's 2 years older than me. So we were on the same T-ball team growing up. And this is no joke. This is exactly how I started in wrestling. We're playing T-ball, and for what I found as a young athlete, I wasn't real gifted in a whole lot of sports. So in T-ball, and being one of those sports I wasn't real gifted in, and I think it was an attention span type of thing, they stuck me and my brother way out in the outfield, as far as you could possibly go, where the ball is absolutely never going to get to.
Especially in T-ball. They're not hitting the outfield.
Especially in T-ball. And we were just rough kids, man. We were just always putting our hands on, me and my brother. And, I was always on the shorter end of the stick on that. But we were just physical kids, and we were out in the outfield. And, one thing led to another, and him and I are out there wrestling and, getting physical as like we always do. And somehow somebody at that T-ball event or whatever it was, practice, they were like, hey, listen, you should bring your boys out. We're starting a new club here in Lapeer, Michigan. You guys should bring him out. It's going to be called the Lapeer Raptors. And his name was Julius Medina, who to this day I have an incredible amount of respect and He was one of the guys that truly helped me fall in love with the sport. And so I really, the rest is history, Derek. And I fell in love with the sport. And again, I couldn't have fallen in love with the sport had it not been for my mom and dad's passion to just relentlessly and selflessly pour into their kids. You know, I could have had parents that just took me once a week and really didn't expose. I mean, they were all in whatever it took to help me really chase down my passion. And I quickly latched on to wrestling, and the rest is history. And that's all I've ever done since I was 6 years old.
Yeah, and I think you know, if you could look back on 6-year-old self from where you're at in your career right now, wrestling wise, I'm sure 6-year-old you would be pretty incredibly proud that you now have, you know, been able to get a full-time job and make a living and provide for your own family through the sport of wrestling. And I think that that's an incredible story. You know, I think that's every wrestler's, you know, wish in life that they could be able to, you know, stick with wrestling forever. And I think you've kind of solidified yourself as, you know, wrestling will be a part of you no matter where you're at.
Absolutely. And like you said, I'm incredibly grateful. And you know, the older I get, I feel like the more grateful I get, if that makes sense. And it just really come to realization of all the people that have impacted my life and really made the opportunities that I've had come to fruition. And but don't get me wrong, I've had to put the work in, I've had to show up, I've had to, you know, give my best effort and have a great attitude along the way. And the life lessons that this sport has taught me, hands down, have carried me through my entire adult life and into now being a husband and a father. And those same lessons of, you know, just what I look to instill in my kids, I have come from the sport of wrestling. But again, I think it was a great connection between the way my parents raised us and the lessons that wrestling was teaching us. It was a great combo because everything that they were teaching me at home, it was like, you know, I was doing that out on the mat when it came to just, you know, discipline and sacrifice and commitment and consistency. Those are the type of things I was raised on. So when I got there, I just thrived. And you know, and being able to put in the effort that what I put in was what I was going to get out. And I really enjoyed that. And again, I go right back to the foundation of my parents because they truly selflessly drove our dreams, and it was never their dreams. It was our dreams. And they pushed us as hard as we were going to, you know, we wanted to lean into it. And I'm just very grateful to now be 35 and have a young family and a wife that understands that now the circle of life has come, that it's my role now, and my passion and motivation is I wake up every single day and how do I motivate, uplift, and inspire those around me? And that's truly my passion every single day, Derek, not just at home and with my kids and my wife. It's what I truly have so much passion about is how do I inspire those around me? And I'm just grateful to be a part of an incredible program and be, you know, with an incredible staff with Gross and Garrett Model and Chris Bono. And, you know, and I could go on and on and on about just the gratefulness that I have for Coach Bono, the one that really gave me the first opportunity to be a college coach. And I've been with him over 10 years. And, you know, loyalty is a big thing to me. And we've got big dreams and big goals ahead of us.
100%. I know the big goals ahead of you thing is definitely something we'll talk about later in the podcast and talk a little bit about the Badgers. But let's take a step back again and talk a little bit about, you know, you mentioned high school wrestling. Now, was high school wrestling for you as easy as a lot of these other elite level guys? Did you walk into high school wrestling and kind of just clean up, you know, your 4 years of high school?
You know what? I would say no. I would say definitely no. I was fortunate enough to have and find success through high school, but again, I think it was the selflessness of my parents that really drove just putting me in a situation where I was going to succeed. And when I got to Davison, Michigan, and if you can recall, Davison, Michigan used to really be a powerhouse in the country, not just in the state of Michigan. And that was due to the fact that we had two Division I wrestlers that went on to be high school coaches in our program that came from Davison. You had Roy Hall, who wrestled at Michigan State and Purdue. And then you had Kent Elliott, who was wrestled at LSU and was a college roommate of Kevin Jackson, who, you know, is an Olympic champion They were college roommates at LSU before the program was dropped. So I had two guys that really understood far beyond the high school level and what it was going to take to be. If you wanted to be a Division I wrestler, okay, I'm going to show you the lifestyle. I'm going to show you the roadmap, and I just need you to follow it. And now being a college coach, I've been all over the country and I've seen the different opportunities that kids have. And from what I was able to be exposed to in on a daily basis between the mentors I had at Davison and just the parent support I had at home, I was very fortunate. And to be able to walk in there and have a room full of guys like Brent Metcalf and Paul Donahoe, who both were on my team for multiple years in high school, who all went on to win national titles. That's a special thing. So the room environment that I was around, I was around very, very like-minded guys. I was around guys that understood that to be the best version of yourself, it's going to take a requirement of an immense amount of self-discipline, self-accountability, consistency, determination, sacrifice, but ultimately we're going to do this together. And I think that was some of the life lessons and the things that my high school coaches taught me as a young athlete. So when I came in, I was watching athletes that were far beyond, I was a freshman, and I can recall just on the top of my head right now, I can recall walking into that Davison room. And if you can recall, this is a ways back, but you remember Brent Metcalf had an older brother, Chase Metcalf, who was the #1 recruit in the country in his respective recruiting class. And this guy was an absolute animal. So for me to walk in as a young athlete and sit on the wall and watch this guy train and watch this guy, how he conducted himself, how he carried himself, how he treated his teammates, how he treated his coaches, how he approached recovery, how he approached just that tenacity and relentless in the room. That was what I was like, man, this is my aha moment. I want to be like that. And now all I need to do is I need to attach myself to this guy's hip. So I had a lot of really good guys. That was just one of many that were willing to put their arm around me and say, hey, listen, this is the standard of this program. You're going to follow it. And if you follow it, you're going to go far beyond Davison, Michigan. That won't be the ending point for you. And, I've never been scared of work. I've never been scared of hard work. I've never been scared of that suffering in this sport. And I think that's really what has to me, that's some of my favorite things about this sport is being able to suffer together. And, when you suffer together, you grow, and when you grow, you get strong. And I think that, as a team that I was exposed to that from a very young age. So when I got to college, it was very seamless transition for me.
Yeah. And I think, you mentioned, you name dropped a little bit there with some incredible names. I mean, talking about those Metcalf brothers, I mean, I'm sure practice wasn't easy any day of the week when you're rolling around in the room with those guys. So
yeah, and I think that if you look at that team that we had at Davison, Michigan,
probably the most loaded team ever.
There was a stretch of 10 years, Derek, where I believe we were no lower than 5th in the country for 10 years straight. And we were dominating everybody in the state of Michigan. And we just had coaches that understood this is the way you train. This is the way you carry yourself. This is the way you attack everything. And really we lived by a slogan and a motto, and it was never settle, break someone. And we took that kind of attitude and mentality into everything we did. And it really was a cohesive, 40 guys deep that really believed that when they stepped on the mat, whether you were the first stringer or whether you're the 5th stringer, when you put that Davison singlet on, you were running through a wall and whatever it took for your teammates. And we were a team that was feared, and we loved it, and we accepted all challenges. And I was just very fortunate to be around guys like that. And for me, as a young, impressionable athlete who was in love with the sport, I was around guys that were consistently trying to push themselves further, that were consistently trying to, again, be a better version of themselves. And I believe that was a huge molding time for me as a young wrestler. And, I see a lot of opportunities for kids around the country, and it's not their fault, but you get into some of these programs, you get complacent, you settle, and for whatever reason. But I was pushed every single day. It was either a sink or swim, and I wanted to be in that starting lineup. So when I got in that starting lineup as a freshman, I was taking full advantage of everything I had to do to be, productive in a team that was, top 3 in the country. So, but to talk about partners and to name drop, there were so many guys. Everybody wants to look at that Davison team and recall the 3 guys that won national titles, that went on to win Division I national titles. But there was so many guys that were so good and were better than us, that just for one reason or another, maybe that the passion kind of fell off when they got to college. But there was guys that were absolute killers, and those were guys that, to me, recalling my high school years, those were the guys that gave me the aha moment when they were seniors and I was a freshman and they were going to Division I programs. And I was like, man, if they're doing it, I can do it, and I want to do it. And I'm seeing how they're, just the energy that they get. And there were so many guys. There was multiple, 8 to 10 guys that were going Division I every single year. And that was like expected in our program.
100%. And I think, like you mentioned, at that point in wrestling, I would say that was easily a top 3 team in that period. And I think probably, there hasn't been a lot of crazy high school teams like that in a long time, with just that level of talent. And, if you think about it, transitioning 3 guys from high school to then winning, Division I national titles, that's pretty good transition there for a team. So we're going to move a little bit here and talk a little bit about what was your recruiting process like. Now you're an assistant coach at a Division I college at Wisconsin. And I'm sure you've seen, you've been on the recruiting trips and you've brought guys in, into the, wrestling room and into your office and had the conversation with them. So what was that like for you? What schools were interested in you out of high school, and where did you decide to go?
So to kind of preface this a little bit, Brent Metcalf was a year older than me. And just to kind of put everything in line, Brent Metcalf was a year older than me. Paul Donahoe was 2 years older than me. So if you recall, Paul went to Nebraska and Brent Metcalf went to Virginia Tech. So naturally, I've always been, we were always all great friends. So naturally, those 2 programs, after they, got themselves accustomed to the Davison program and built the relationships with our coaches, they were in our rooms constantly. So again, I built relationships with Coach Brands and Coach Manning right away, and excellent coaches and great mentors. And so naturally those 2 were in the mix. So I had Nebraska, Virginia Tech when Coach Brands was at Virginia Tech, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, and Minnesota. Those were my final 5. And all incredible coaches, and just, again, built relationships. But for me at the time, the guy that built the relationship the most, and to go even further back, man, I grew up as the biggest Michigan fan that you could possibly be. I was the guy that ran around every wrestling tournament with a Michigan singlet on, Michigan headgear. I was so darn proud to wear that Michigan Wolverine singlet. And I grew up, obviously my dad was a football guy. So naturally, he would bring us to the big house to watch football games every weekend or, when we could. So I grew up a diehard Wolverine fan. But when it came to the recruiting process, I just didn't feel the relationships were comfortable enough to continue the process. And for one reason or another, they weren't in the final 5. But when it came to the process, the program that built the most, relationship, and that was what I was looking for. I was looking for, one, a team that had like-minded goals and understood that, we want to win, but we want to win at the highest level. We want to do it the right way. And I want to be around guys that want to win. And Iowa State brought in the number 1 recruiting class the year before I came into Iowa State. So you had Jake Varner, who ends up being a multiple-time national champ, Olympic champion. You had Dave Zabriskie, who was a national champion heavyweight. You had Nick Fanthorpe, Mitch Mueller. You had Nick Gallick, and many more guys in that class who were in Kyler Sanderson, who were all Americans and national champs in their group. 6 guys right there that all went on to be national champs and all Americans. So that was a year before me. So I saw how great this team was going to be, and we were going to be young, and I was going to be I fit right into that mold. The Paulson brothers were, on their way out, and I was going to be the guy that kind of filled their weight class when they were on their way out. So the guys that the team that built the most relationship with me, Derek, and not to go too to dissect this too much, because I have an incredible amount of respect for every one of those programs, and their coaches all did a fantastic job, and really put their best foot forward, and did a lot to make the recruiting process special. But the guy who I really went into the relationship was Cael Sanderson. And on top of that, he was the guy, and still is, an incredible person and guy and athlete in X, Y, and Z. But at the time, he was fresh off of an Olympic championship, Olympic gold medal. He was the guy, and to even preface this more, as a young athlete coming through high school, obviously I had a ton of teammates that were going Division I and were continually getting recruited. There was college coaches in our room all the time. But here's again how selfless my dad and mom were, that were just continually, putting that seed into my head of, this is your journey, number one, and I want you to run with your passion, and we're going to be right beside you to help you along the way. They used to get me the USA Wrestling Magazine or Amateur Wrestling News, one of the two. I can't remember what it was. And it would come once a month, and I would get it in the mail, and I would cut out pictures of like the athletes at the time, right? I wasn't even really reading the magazine. I was just looking for the pictures of the guys flexing and the guys getting their hand raised. And you came into my bedroom and it was all over my walls. And at the time, Iowa State was very, very competitive. They were continually top 2, top 3 program, challenging for a national championship. And I was like, man, you always heard Cael Sanderson's name. I was like, man, that would be an incredible, program to wrestle for. I can see myself getting my hand raised. And again, I'm always seeing those pictures on my wall. And I'm like, man, if Iowa State ever calls, that would be an incredible experience. And again, fast forward, Cael Sanderson calls, and just the relationship and the commitment to staying consistent in that process was special. And you could tell it was genuine. And, ultimately I made that decision via Cyclone, and I'm forever grateful for that opportunity that he had and he gave me, and what he saw in me. And, I wouldn't change it for the world. And, again, it's given me everything that I've had in this sport moving forward from Iowa State. I've got an incredible wife and kids, and I wouldn't have those if I didn't make the decision to be a Cyclone. So again, for me, that belief and trust that Coach Sanderson had in me, man, I'm incredibly grateful.
Yeah. And that year that you got recruited by, Cael after he won the gold was the year they put him on the Wheaties box. So there you go.
Yeah. So it was awesome, man. And you know what's so great about him is
he's a great dude. He's awesome, man.
He's one of the absolute best. And it's not even, the celebrity, I don't even know how to describe this, Derek, but just the celebrity gathering that he gets from people, obviously, and he deserves absolutely every bit of it. But he is such a down-to-earth person. He is not that guy that's craving that attention. And what I got in that relationship with Coach Sanderson, and something that I really try to do with my athletes now, is something that I saw that I believed in him, he believed in me. And the reason why I went to Iowa State was he was willing to meet me right where I was in my life. And he was willing to walk with me every single day. And he was willing to continually pour into me and just love on me, put his arm around me and walk every step and be in the trenches. And to me, that meant a lot. And that was what I was looking for in a coach. And that was what I had at Davison. And it was something that really, truly helped me succeed as a young athlete. And then when I got to Iowa State, I saw this and I was like, man, this guy's such a celebrity, but he's a really down to earth guy. He's normal. Right. And
yeah.
when
you would never know, like if you just saw him out and about and didn't know wrestling, you would never know who he was.
He's absolutely incredible. And he was willing to pour into me. He was willing to love on me. He was willing to believe in me. He was willing to do whatever it took to help me accomplish the best version of myself. And what I saw as a young athlete has carried me on into my coaching career.
Hello? Coach Reeder. Oh man, no. Oh. All right, little technical difficulties, everybody, but we're back. We're back with Coach Reeder. So, question here: we're gonna move a little bit forward here to the Badgers. What are some things you are excited about in this upcoming season with the Badgers, man? What are you looking forward to?
Matt, you know what I'm really looking forward to is if you really look at our lineup and you look at the guys that potentially could be in our starting lineup, and we won't dissect it too much, but if you look, you've got a good handful of guys that, one, there's a good mixture of older veteran guys that have accomplished things, and then you've got a good mixture of guys that are young and are hungry for an opportunity, but also you got the opportunity to throw in some guys that that have a chip on their shoulder, some transfer that have come in and really have a chip on their shoulders. There's one last chance for them to really accomplish their goals at the collegiate level. And I'm excited to see where those guys go, because I see the work that they're putting in the offseason, and it's really impressive. And what I'm really excited about, Derek, is just the commitment and discipline and sacrifice and the selfless teammates they become and over the summer and continue to drive forward and step forward together. And it's really a cohesive team that understands that, yeah, it wasn't the best performance last year. A top 15 finish is not what the Badgers are striving to do. We're striving to continue to challenge for team trophies and ultimately win national championships. And that's what our program is built on, and that's what we strive to accomplish. So we got guys that understand that and are holding each other accountable. And I'm very excited about the energy in our room, and to me that's a great indicator of where we are. And we've got guys that are hungry, excited, and they're giving back to the young guys as they come in. We've got 7 new incoming freshmen and 4 transfers. So I'm excited about this group. It's a large group, not typically that large that we bring in, or that many kids come in a class, but I'm excited to see where they land. And in the last training cycle that we finished up with, I'm incredibly encouraged with what I saw.
Listen, I know, me personally, there's one thing I am excited about, and it is whoever is going to step into the shoes to fill the spot of Trent Hilger. Now,
Yep.
Trent, we've had on the podcast at this point, I want to say maybe 3 or more times. We love Trent here. We're sad to see him depart from Wisconsin, but we are excited to see who Wisconsin brings in next to fill the spot at heavyweight. And I think we're also excited just to see, there's a lot of guys that we've had on here that we're excited to see, what's next for them. Obviously, DJ Hamity, who, I think everybody's ready for him to win to win a national title. I think, I stay for everybody who thinks, he's got the talent. He's got all the talent in the world he needs to win a national title. And I think he's just got to go out there and take some heads off.
Yeah. No doubt. And Derek, you hit it on the nail. And I think that if you look up and down our lineup, you've got guys that have accomplished things.
Barnett,
yet to have accomplished their ultimate goal of standing on top of that podium and calling themselves a national champion. And I think that hunger, that desire, that burn inside their gut is real, and it drives their decisions every single day. And they become great leaders, and I'm really excited about those guys, but I'm also excited to continue to talk about just how special of a career a guy like Trent Hilger had, and what he accomplished in his time as a Badger, and forever grateful to have been in his corner, and just his commitment and discipline and sacrifice to make his dreams come reality. And if you really dissect his career and you look and you really nitpick and you look into his career, what he was able to accomplish in an era of just incredible heavyweights is truly remarkable. And here in our program at Wisconsin, he is the only heavyweight to ever become a 4-time All-American. So he cemented himself in the history books here at Wisconsin. And I know there's guys that are gunning for those record books, and we're forever grateful to have been able to be there and help walk the walk with him.
Yeah. Well, as soon as we find out after that first dual meet, whoever the starting heavyweight is, we'll be in his ear for sure, sending him some love and sending him some, get him on here and get him to talk a little bit about, what it's been like at Wisconsin and him being the, the next guy up. So we're excited. We're excited to see. I know, obviously, like you said, having a guy like Trent, for all those years he was an incredible wrestler. You very rarely do you get a one-time All-American, nevertheless, four-time All-American. In my opinion, the peak of college heavyweight wrestling. We saw the change from, I think, in my opinion, Kyle Snyder was the guy who started it all. We saw him defeat Adam Kuhn, who was the classic, big, slow, upper body, Greco-esque heavyweight. And we saw Kyle Snyder come in and just blow that away with the agility and the speed and the strength. And, heavyweight doesn't have to be a 1-2 match or a 1-1 overtime match. It's you're able to get a tech fall or a pin. And I think Trent, he was all of that. He was a big dude who was quick and strong, and we're excited to see what the future holds for him as well. Definitely.
And if you look at Trent too, and not to go too far off of tangent here, but to just to overview of his career, and if you really looked at his body, and if you were able to understand where his body weight was every single day, and to see the ups and downs that he was able to navigate and continue to accomplish things that he did, he is a true example of leaning into the resources that he had provided to him here at Wisconsin, and world class on every level, and truly helping him develop and build the best plan for Trent Hilger.
Yeah.
When it came to nutrition, when it came to strength, when it came to mentality, when it came to the things that he had to adjust to make sure his body was at a certain level and a certain weight and a certain strength. He truly did the right things to accomplish the goals that he had. And if you really look at it, he was a guy who had 5 chances at the NCAAs. And what I'm most proud of Trent about, and there's a multitude and list of things that I'm incredibly proud of Trent in what he was able to do. But what I'm really, truly proud about is the resiliency that he was able to have after his junior year, his 4th time at the NCAAs, and he fell short of his goals of becoming an All-American. And you could see the hurt, you could see the pain, you could see the questions, right? And the whys, and not really truly understanding, but he was able to pick himself up. He was able to put himself back in a position to lean into the resources that we have here, and to revision where he needed to have his body and his mind and his strength and the whole 9 yards. And he was able to come up with, again, the plan that was going to build him into the goal of being a national champion. And that was Trent's goal. It was never to be an All-American. It was to be a national champion. But he put himself in a situation to accomplish something that nobody's ever done here at Wisconsin, because he was willing to lean into those resources that he had provided here.
Yeah. Well, I know when we talked to him after, this season had concluded and he had completed his college wrestling career, we had, a Trent send-off, if you will. And that was one of the biggest things he said, was he thanked the Wisconsin strength and conditioning and the nutritionist, because they fully, no matter what season it was, they fully transformed his body, to where he needed to be to compete. And I think you saw that, especially the last season he wrestled, last season, he looked massive. And it was probably the biggest, and he talked about drinking these shakes and yada, yada, yada. And he was consuming all these, these X number of calories a day to try to, get a little bit bigger. And they succeeded at that. And I mean, I know how happy he was to end his career, as a 4-time All-American. Obviously, he didn't, he fell short in his mind, but I think to everybody else, he truly succeeded at, and then some. And
he's cemented in history here, and he has nothing but to be incredibly proud of his career and the way he approached it, and because I know we are darn proud of him.
Yeah, man. So talked a little bit about some past Badgers, and talked a little bit about DJ, who's, at this point, I think he's next man up, in my opinion, to go ahead and grab a national title for the Badgers. And we'll talk a little bit about the guy that was in the room with you real quick, fixing your computer, and this is going to, go towards the RTC side now. you have a guy like Seth Gross there, able
Yep.
to be there for your RTC guys and help you out with that. So what's that been like having Gross, decide he's going to stick around? And I know as well, Garrett Model decided he's going to stick around. So what was that like for you guys to bring those guys onto your staff, those young guys who I'm sure have, a great relationship with the guys that are still on the team now? What was that like to bring them in and have them help out with the Olympic side of everything?
Well, I'll tell you what, I can't talk enough and just how highly I truly believe that the value that Seth Gross brings to this program from an everyday basis. And it's, he's been on our coaching staff for the last few years, and just his positive and relentless positivity that he brings every single day. It's truly inspiring, and I know our guys feel it. But the unique part about Seth Gross is it's not fake. It's who he is. He brings that genuine passion and love for the sport, and just that curiosity of how do we become better in every area of business, and on the wrestling mat, how do we help our athletes become better versions of themselves? And that doesn't just stop on the mat. That's in every area of their life. And again, I love being on staff with this guy because he is the same way and approaches it the same way that we do. And that's that it's whatever it takes to pour into our athletes relentlessly and to put your arm around them and just love on them. And we've got a great saying around here, and I heard it from a buddy of mine, and I really adopted it. And I really believe to be a great leader, you got to pour into your athletes relentlessly. But as a leader, you got to love to serve and serve with love. And I think that this staff exemplifies that in all different ways, right? All different ways, some more intense than others and some more laid back than others. And that's a true reflection of every athlete, because every athlete is not the same. And every athlete, you got to understand that I've come to realization early in my career that not everybody thinks the way I do. And not everybody approaches the sport the way I do. And to have a really unique, dynamic cast on this staff, so to speak, I'm incredibly grateful to come to work. I'm excited to see these guys every day, because I know that the goal is, how do we help our athletes become better versions of themselves on the mat, off the mat, in the classroom, as brothers, or as husbands, future community leaders, whatever it may be. That's our passion. But to speak about Seth Gross, he's got a really unique situation too, because not only is he a coach, but he's also chasing down world and Olympic gold medals. So to be able to have him as an example and someone that they can really relate to, in the fact that this guy, listen, watch what he's doing, follow him his exact lead, because what he's doing is all in on every level, whether it's nutrition, whether it's strength, whether it's whatever it may be in his path to being a world and Olympic champion. He does it right. So for me, naturally, as a young athlete, I would attach myself to that guy, and he does a really good job of being able to lead by example, and just incredibly grateful to have him on the staff.
Yeah. And when you say down to earth person, me, and there's usually another guy who does this with me named Matt, and we, got the opportunity to sit down and talk to Gross before, worlds and everything, world team trials and everything like that. And we finished, and we kind of just sat here for like 20 minutes, me and my co-host Matt, and we're kind of in awe. He is one of the most down-to-earth people you will ever meet, because, and here's the reason, in my opinion, why I think that. I think he is like that because his life was not always easy. When he was at Iowa, he hit rock bottom. He hit rock bottom at Iowa, and he was given an opportunity by, if I'm not wrong here, Bono was at South Dakota State.
Sure was.
With you, right? Or were you there?
Sure was. Yeah. Yep. I remember exactly where I was when we got the phone call. I remember exactly where I was.
And I think, he has not just become loyal to Wisconsin because of what you guys did. I think he's become loyal to both you and Bono yourselves. And I think, because of those struggles Seth had, he's now truly an incredible human being. And like I said, one of the most down-to-earth guys I have ever spoken to,
doubt.
Whether it be through, the podcast, or even just in life in general. And, I think he's probably, I know he's going to make a great head college coach one day.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have,
Absolutely.
that gritty story behind him that, he could have quit wrestling and he was about to. He told us there were so many days when he was home and after, he got back from Iowa, and that there was days where he thought he would never wrestle again. And we always love the story he's been telling pretty much anybody that he gets on the podcast with is about the first run he had to do at South Dakota State. Now, I know you've probably heard this, and you were there, I'm sure, while it was going on.
I was probably on the run, just not at the top or not at the very end, top of the run. But I remember it like it was yesterday. I was right there, right there beside him.
Yeah, man. I think
But
that's
I mean, I could go on and on and on, Derek, about how incredibly special this guy, not only to this program and to the sport of wrestling, but how incredibly special he is to me and our staff, and the relationships far exceed anything you're going to do in this sport, Derek. And that's why I love this. Is I believe the strength of our program is the relationships we have with our athletes, and the relationship that I've been able to build with Seth Gross will far exceed anything we do in this sport, because I know I can rely on him. I can depend on him. He's going to have my back no matter what. There's a brotherhood that has been built through this sport, and a relationship that is unbreakable. And that is what is so incredible about this sport, and something that it's hard to explain, because it's an incredible relationship that has been built through this sport and over years, and the consistency, right? Being able to show up for each other, and be able to be there when you're at your lows, and be able to be there when you're at your highs. And I'm just grateful to be a part of that journey of his. And I know the best is yet to come for him.
100%. I agree 100% of that. And in the next coming years, we're really going to see the evolution of Seth Gross too.
Yeah, man. And it's really cool too. Like in the last week and a half, he's had his firstbody child. He had a baby boy.
Yeah. Shout out Seth and his wife with the baby boy.
Exactly. And just the two warriors that they are. It just is the way baby boy's name's MJ, but just to see his love for his own is truly remarkable. And it's something that I've got an incredible passion about being a dad, and it's the greatest thing I've ever done.
And I'm sure that's kind of cool for you.
And now I can relate. We're two young dads, and we're going through similar things. And my youngest is 4, and his is just newborn, so it's all very fresh for me. But man, those things are far more important than anything you do in this sport. And being able to, you could be a great wrestler, but you better be able to show up for your family and your son and your daughter. And that to me, it means a lot. And to be able to share those relationships and be able to share those experiences together and are incredible. But again, you've got 2 other guys on the staff that fall right in line with that, man. And I can't speak enough about how we are to bring on a brand new guy in Seth Gross or Garrett Model, and just a young, hungry coach who's so super passionate, is just super gritty on the mat, and his dessert. He is. I can't even say enough great things about this guy, because he was one of those guys that shows up every single day, win or lose, and gave you 150%, 150%, win or lose. And just a tough, gritty guy. You knew exactly what you were going to get in Garrett Model every single time he stepped foot on the mat. And now to see his passion on the opposite side of being a competitor, and just the way he approaches his coaching, side, and his eagerness and hungriness and willingness to learn and figure out, all right, well, what are my duties, and how do I do these best, and kind of see him put his own spin on things has been really, really awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're excited. I know. Obviously the light this
lost
year.
You, big dog.
Oh,
hold on here.
Oh.
Is it me?
Yeah, I think it is.
I lost you.
Oh no. We're back. Another slight technical difficulty. We're back now. We're back. So, final question for you before we hop into the fun stuff and let the fans get to know you a little bit more on a personal level is, this year, obviously, the media coverage has been on the big 3 for the Big Ten: Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan. all of them had Ohio State's on the come up. Penn State, is just, of course, they're the Nittany Lions. And then, we had Michigan, who pretty much, in my opinion, stole everybody out of the transfer portal that they could get their hands on. So being, in the Big Ten and everything like that, what are some things that you're looking forward to and some challenges this season that you're hoping to face?
Oh, I think for us, I think the Big Ten, or for every program in the Big Ten, there's a reason why you're in the Big Ten. It's highly competitive.
The best
And
conference for wrestling.
we're here for a reason, man. And we love it. We love the challenge, and we're eager to lean into it. And we just got told our crossovers are going to be Michigan State and Ohio State, and we're excited about that. We've got Ohio State at home and Michigan State on the road, and we're gonna again compete with all 6 teams on our side of the conference. And again, Derek, we're here for a reason, man. We want to be competitive, and it's a challenge every single day to keep continuing to push that program forward and continue to be at the top of the Big Ten. And that's our goal, and that's our desire. And every single day, it's a passion to get to that point.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I think the Big Ten, at least for the last, 15 years at this point, the Big Ten is wrestling. You have your occasional schools, come out of the Ivy. Obviously, Cornell is going to be very dominant again this year. And you got a couple of schools from the ACC that usually pop their head in. But the Big Ten is built wrestling, I think, to another level. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see all these Big Ten duels. I feel like, my weekends are going to be pretty busy coming up here soon with the wrestling season. And obviously, we got the World Championships coming up here in a little bit. So
yes, sir.
Exciting stuff for wrestling. We're getting towards wrestling season, and I'm excited. So we're gonna hop.
We got to get you out here for a match. Is what we need to do.
Listen, we have so much stuff like this wrestling season. I'm excited. We got a lot of stuff working in the books, and we're excited. We're definitely going to be interested in going and watching some dual meets and doing that kind of stuff.
Well, you let me know, big dog. We'll take care of you, and we'll show you around and let you see Madison.
Yeah, man, we're excited. We're definitely, all of us here at Heavyweight Nation, we have, felt the love pretty much from, at this point, every school that we've, gotten the opportunity. Last year we were blessed with the opportunity to go visit Penn State, and we were able to go watch a dual meet there. And that was an amazing opportunity. Being a Pennsylvania boy, I've lived and died and was raised on Penn State wrestling, so that opportunity was awesome, for our business in total. And, we're hoping, we want to just kind of go and just travel and see as many matches as we can. I think that'd be awesome to get out there.
That's a dream. That's a dream right there, man. That's a dream.
Especially show face, because I think a lot of people just think of us as like, oh, whenever a duel meet's over, I just go to Heavyweight Nation, I click on it, and they tell me what the score was and who won and did all this. But we want to put a face to that and kind of
man. You get boots on. You get boots on the ground. You'll see it. You'll see it scale up for sure.
Do more for this community as a whole. So we got some fun. These questions will be fun. We're gonna get to know let the fans know you a little bit more on a personal level. So question number 1, we've asked everybody from Wisconsin this question. What is your go-to restaurant in Madison?
Marigold Kitchen, easy. Right on State Street, the State Square. It's a breakfast joint. So on Sundays, it's kind of my family thing. We go to church and then we go down to Marigold Kitchen. It's a great little breakfast spot. Kind of every type of food, but it's really good, man. Really good. Everything's in a fire grilled. It's amazing. It's
awesome, man. Next question is, who's your favorite guy that you grab when you get to the wrestling room to beat up on a little bit? Who's that guy for you on your team right now?
To beat up?
Yeah,
I don't know about beating anybody.
Rough up a little bit.
I don't know about beating anybody up, but listen, man. I come into the restroom every single day, and I'm high-fiving people. I'm joking around. I want the spirits high, so I think guys that I naturally, every one of them, I connect with. But again, I love seeing those smiles when I hit the wrestling room, and I like the guys give that energy right back, and pretty consistently with guys like Eric Barnett and Joe Zargo and DJ Hamidi and guys like that are fired up naturally. So I love that, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, man. So the fans want to know, what does Coach Reeder do in his free time when it's not go, go, go wrestling season? You got a day off, you could relax a little bit. What are you doing? What's the goal
I'll
there
tell you
on
what, it's
that
going to be
day?
pretty. To me, it's amazing, but to me, or to others, it's probably going to be pretty low key. But to me, man, I got a young family, so I'm on the go a lot, and I'm gone a lot, and I got a lot of passion to continue to build this program and to progress it forward. So when I do have downtime, I love spending it with my family, with my wife and my kids. And what's great about that is it's not just my wife and kids. It's, we're integrated so tight with the Bonos and the Grosses. And, now with having Garrett Model on staff, it's going to be awesome to integrate his family. And, those relationships are important to me, and that community is important. So in our downtime, we're hanging out with friends and our family is tight and our families are tight. But I would say if there's any other hobby, we've all gotten pretty serious about golf around here. And if you know me, Derek, I'm like an all or nothing kind of guy. I'm a 0 or 100. So I got into golf basically last year, and I thought it was pretty important that I needed to go and buy some really expensive golf clubs. Like, not even like start with like the starter kit, like kind of learn how to freaking golf, dude. No, I want the
Tailor
Ferrari
made.
right now. I want the
Tailor made,
Ferrari,
man.
a tailor made, whole new set, whole new irons, all driver, the whole 9 yards. And I don't think I would call myself a good golfer yet, but I love it, man. I
Hey,
love the
at least when
passion
you do get to the good golfer status, you'll have the clubs to prove it.
for sure. I look good out there. I know that, but dude, it's a great reflection in like wrestling, man. There's always something you can do in golf. There's always something you can get better at in golf. And that's what I love about it. And I'm at like the rookie level right now. So I'm real hungry and excited about learning and getting better.
Now, this is a really good one. Now, what is your favorite Bono quote? If you could quote anything that Bono says often to the public, obviously, what is one thing that is your favorite Bono quote?
Man, I'll tell you what, that's my boy. That's my absolute boy. But let's go, I think, is something that when I think about Coach Bono, he's got so much fire and passion and energy and just excitement about life. And he's my absolute brother, man. And I've suffered with him, and I've been with him for over 10 years and incredibly loyal to him. And he has given me an opportunity to be in the position that I am in and have been in for the last 12 years with him, and forever grateful for that. But I think when I think about him, I think about just let's go. Let's freaking go. And that's kind
Let me
of
just
him,
say,
man.
your
That's him in a
guys'
nutshell.
energy, like the Wisconsin guys that we've done the interviews with, just the athletes, and now you as a coach,
Yeah.
and I guess we could count Seth as a coach too. Your guys' energy is crazy. I've never
Yeah.
seen so many exclamation points in a text message. Like it's crazy. Like
I
the energy.
apologize, man. I
Oh
probably think I had it in
no,
all bold. I had it in all bold and
no,
maybe 100 explanation points. But dude,
you were
that's
you were
our
excited,
guys
man.
deserve that. And
Yeah, man.
I think I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I've been labeled and it's not always been good that people label me as, hey, that guy's too intense. He's too crazy,
And I
But
love it. I
listen,
love the intensity. I
that's
think
who
bring the
I am,
intensity
man.
is
And I'm passionate and excited about life and pouring into these kids. And when you talk about Chris Bono, he is wholeheartedly one of those guys that just excited about to wake up and to pour into his athletes. And all he wishes is that they, to help them become the best version of himself. And when I think of him, man, I think about let's go.
100%.
And I love doing this journey and job with him every day.
Yeah. And I think here's the thing that this is why we get here. And we've I think you're number 8 of our Wisconsin series, and we've done 5 or 6 videos with the guys at Mizzou. And a lot of people always ask us, why Wisconsin, why Missouri, why this school or that school or Pitt or Cornell. It's like I could sit here and I could make videos about Ohio State, Michigan, and Iowa. I could do it every day. If I wanted to, I could. But schools like Wisconsin and, like I said, Cornell and Mizzou, these are schools that don't get a ton of love by the media. These are schools that are kind of, back burner schools. And, that's what we love. I love an underdog story. I love it. I want to see Wisconsin go out there this year, knock some heads off, win a national title, and get out of there. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. I want to see the same for
Let's
all
go,
the
man.
teams
I
that we
like that.
support. And and it's, I love that. We get fans all the time. Why are you making more videos about Wisconsin? Why are you making more videos about Missouri? It's like, because we have built such a strong relationship with the people at Wisconsin, with the people at Missouri. Like Don Bradley is like a friend of us now.
Now listen,
And
Dom's one of the best, man. Dom's one of the best. I've got a lot of history with Dom over the years, traveling with him. And again, like
he's an
I could go
incredible
on and
human
on.
being.
He's
Incredible.
just he's a good person.
Great dude. Great dude.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
I just feel like it's, number one, I mean, this is what we do. We talk wrestling. This is
Yeah.
how we do it.
Mhm.
And to us, we have been, accepted, and I have friends now. I have guys that I call friends that wrestle at Wisconsin. I have guys
Yeah.
that I call friends that wrestle at Mizzou. It's not like, oh, this is just a work thing. I'm just making videos. I got to go film this video with this guy. It's like, no, like I'm friends with these people now. These are people that I'm not intimidated to shoot a text message and be like,
Yep.
hey man, like, how are you doing? Like I saw you wrestle this guy, and great job, or hey, tough loss, but next, you got a great match next week. Keep your head up. Like, this is stuff that we've been, able to do and blessed, with the opportunity to build relationships with these programs. And
you hit it on the nail, man. Your success and in the relationships that you've developed and continue to pour into, that's why your podcast is so successful. 100%. Right. And because it's not a hard conversation. It's not where you have to carry the whole thing. There's great dialogue back and forth because you've put in the time, Derek, to build that relationship. And it's easy for us to get on here and support everything that you're doing. And again, we're just grateful to be here.
And, we love Wisconsin for this reason, and not a lot of people know. So for a stint of time, there was a man that went to Wisconsin named Evan Wick.
Yep.
And Evan Wick, me and my business partner, where we were 15 years old when we started doing this. We're now 19 years old. At the time, we had 2,025 followers. I will never forget this day. We had 2,000 followers. We had nobody. We were not making a penny off of this. We had like 20 subscribers on YouTube. We had 2,000 followers on Instagram. We were nothing. And I send a DM to a man named Evan Wick, who had just won a national title. And I said, Evan, I would like you to come on my podcast. And Evan Wick's response was, sounds good. Give me a time and a place. You tell me when I got to be there and I'll do it. And at that
sounds
time,
like Evan, man.
He was wearing a Wisconsin. He was, at Wisconsin at that point. And I will never forget that it was a Wisconsin person the first time that ever said yes to me. So for me, that's why Wisconsin holds a special place in my heart.
No doubt.
Because they believed in us at 2,000 followers. They believed in us at 50,000 followers. And they still to this day believe in us at 150,000 followers. That we are still those same 15-year-olds that took a risk, and we decided to invest in ourselves and, put all the chips on the table and, do this whole Heavyweight Nation thing. And, no matter what was going on in our lives, we knew that this was something that we loved and we had a passion for. And as long as we believed, nobody could stop us. It's true. 15 years old. We were little kids. I was sitting in the kitchen of my house on my mom's work computer, filming our first ever podcast with Evan Wick. And I'll never forget it to this day. That is why
amazing.
I hold
that
Wisconsin
is amazing.
So close to my heart because of that. That was my first ever that was one of the first ever podcasts. I think it was podcast number 3 or 4, that Evan Wick, and I'll never forget it. And we actually we got a clip of Evan. We had an editor making us for 100,000 follower. It's like a video for it. And Evan was the first part was Evan Wick on camera talking about congrats on 100,000 followers. I remember when, you guys had like 2,000 followers and you guys were young kids, and, it's crazy. So
that's awesome.
The fans probably don't even know that, but that is why I have such a strong connection. And, just the amount of love I do for Wisconsin was because of Evan Wick, first person that ever came on our podcast and said yes to me. So that's exactly amazing. Why I have a passion and for this. He lit the fire, man. He kept this going, 174 episodes later and 150,000 followers. And, now I'm here with the assistant coach of Wisconsin, man. And hopefully
that's awesome.
Hopefully someone out there watching this, listening to the way, Reeder talks and carries himself and talks about the guys on his team. Hopefully, this lights a fire in you, man. hopefully you see this, and if you wanted to start doing this, you reach out to me. You reach out to me, and I'll come on your podcast as your first guest if you want.
Absolutely.
I've been doing this for 170.
Shoot, sign me up. I'll be number 2. I'll be number 2. Sign me up.
Any young kids out there,
that's what it's all about. It's about chasing down your passions relentlessly and consistently and just pouring into others, man. And that's what you've done. You've poured yourself into the building relationships with asking for really nothing in return. And you've surrounded yourself with incredible people. And Derek, what you've built, man, is impressive. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
There's days where I sit there, like I'll sit in bed, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, man, I scroll through my contacts on my phone and I'm like, if young Derek ever knew that this is what his phone contacts would look like,
right?
He would be having a fit right now. It's like, now I've been blessed. I've been blessed with the opportunity.
Yeah.
I've talked to David Taylor. I've talked to Kyle Date.
Yep.
I've talked to Bo Nickel. I've done the Olympic gold medalists. I've done national champs, and I'm hopeful. Now we're gonna start planning some stuff to get a lot of these young recruits in, and we're gonna bring them on and let them.
Oh,
share
that's
their
great!
story.
Great idea! Great idea.
We're gonna get those guys out and get their name out there and get some hype going behind them, and they're the future of this sport.
Yeah,
the young guys out there right now that are getting recruited in the graduating class of next year. A lot of our top guys that we see, man, they're getting old. They only got a season or so left, and their college career is going to come to an end, and it's time for the changing of the guard. And I think we saw that a lot this season, and we're going to see it a lot next season with, obviously, the big one was Spencer Lee. Spencer Lee falls in the semifinals of nationals, and that was kind of the changing of the guard moment for him. And a wrestling season without Spencer this year is going to be a little bit different for everybody, I think, just because he's been there for so long, and he's such a high class and high class athlete and a level A guy, man. Let me just say, great.
No doubt. And I don't know him very personally, but just like you said, again, incredibly respectful, very mature, and what a great career he had. And it was fun to watch him, and excited to see him continue to grow, and no doubt he's going to be successful moving forward.
Coach Reader, for you, this is the closing question. We have asked everybody that has came on our podcast. This will be 174th time. You could take
let's go
3 of your Badger wrestlers. So we're gonna take your team, your guys on
3 Badger wrestlers. Wrestlers. This isn't coaches.
Yes, not your coaching staff, because you're only a coaching staff of 4. So we will take 3, yourself included, and then 3 of your athletes on your wrestling team with you into the zombie apocalypse. Who would it be and why?
Eric Barnett, 100%.
Okay.
Dude is relentless. Dude is relentless, and just a guy will do whatever it takes. 100%. He's my number 1 pick. Number 2, I'm gonna go Joe Zargo.
Joe Zargo has been, I think, on everybody's list so far.
Yeah, Joe Zargo is he's an animal. Joe Zargo for sure. And then you know what, man? This is a real sneaky pick, because I can go easily from 4 to 10. I could pick one, but I'm gonna go with I'm looking at my board right now too, because this is great. This is a zombie apocalypse. Mm-hmm. I've got Barnett.
You got
Zargo. I'm gonna go DJ. DJ. Him and I got a great relationship, so I know what he's thinking. He knows what I'm thinking. We got it.
Great team right there, man.
But I'll tell you what, man, listen, I could easily have just picked my coaches and we would have got it done easy.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, you can't be that easy.
I guess it can't be that easy.
Yeah, you can't take Mono.
I would have picked Gross and Bono, and it would just said that's all I need right there. So
nah, man. But Coach Reader, it has been, absolutely incredible getting to talk to you. I feel like, obviously we got a lot more guys from the Wisconsin lineup we got to get talking to now. And, we're excited. Hopefully we'll catch up with you at the end of the season, maybe, and get
you bet.
We'll talk a little bit about, how things went and the outcome of your season this year. And, we, first of all, us here at Heavyweight Nation, we want to thank you and thank everybody at Wisconsin for, continually believing in us and continuously, pouring love towards us. And thank you all for the relationships that we've built. And hopefully we'll be out in Madison sometime here soon.
You bet, buddy.
We'll be able to come out and show you guys some love, the way you showed us love and poured love into us, every time we've ever made these videos with you guys. So It's been another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast, guys. We just released our new merchandise. You go check it out, link in bio. And another shout out, man. Shout out Seth Gross and his wife, for the baby, man. And good luck to you, coach. Good luck to your guys. Hopefully we see a big season here for the Badgers.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, Derek. I look forward to talking to you soon, buddy.
Of course, man. It's been another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. We'll see you guys later.